Let's start again. 那今天呢，我们玩这个游戏呢，叫做 Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment。那它这个游戏呢，就是一款，简单来说就是一个侦探这样。比如一个凶手他杀了人，然后我是侦探，我就来查案那个人。对，我是负责查案的。那我们话不多说，我们赶紧开始吧。这里。
Holmes, will you stop that? You are utterly mad. Stop, Holmes!
Is that you, Watson?
Yes, of course it is. And you almost killed me.
Nonsense. I was aiming for the vases.
Blindfolded?
Watson, quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate. Ah, Lestrade. What is it this time?
He can see me. Well, here it is, and it's a good one, Mr. Holmes. A gentleman by the name of Peter Carey, also known as Black Peter, has been murdered.
A sailor, most probably.
What happened here?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how could you?
It's the only exercise I've had all week. A grateful client from Limoges sent me a vase collection this morning. I couldn't think of a better use for it.
You're out of your mind.
I missed 4 out of 10.
Given you were blindfolded, that was very good. Can I have a try?
Am I the only sane one here?
I suppose that Watson is right, Inspector. A little brain work would be preferable now. Do please tell us more about Black Peter.
Peter Carey, born in 1845 and 50 years old. An ambitious sort, he achieved much success in seal and whale hunting around Scandinavia. Retired in 1884 with a small fortune. He invested his money in a property called Woodman's Lee, near Forest Row in Sussex. It was where he lived for 6 years, and where he was found dead yesterday.
Has the investigation already begun?
Yes and no. In fact, this crime is so mysterious that I would prefer you to join me down there.
Give me half an hour to prepare, Inspector.
Take your time and join me there. I have to go through the yard first. The merry men struck again.
What have they done this time?
They robbed a powder reserve. I'll meet you at Woodman's Lee, Mr. Holmes.
I should have Mrs. Hudson here. I also have several appointments that I must keep this afternoon.
I shall go alone then.
You go along to Peter Carey's house. Mrs. Hudson and I will take care of the mess you've made here.
怎么看着这个人吓到
My
我？
analysis table. It is useful for my work. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. This is where I keep my post. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed.
我觉得不用 make up 了，他已经够帅了。现在欢迎应该倒是可以。red shirt, brown shoe, yeah. I think black color is 比较适合侦探的。那我们赶紧出门吧。买件黑色就够了。
Oh, what a mess! What a terrible mess!
那我们去我们里。到了。
Mr. Holmes, I'm over here. Come on.
Inspector Lestrade, when will you remove my husband's body? It's sacrilegious to leave him here like this.
As soon as we can, Mrs. Carey, I assure you. Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Sherlock Holmes. He's a detective. No doubt you've heard of him. I'll wait for you in front of the cabin, Mr. Holmes.
My condolences, Mrs. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Madam, can you tell me if you saw or heard anything unusual upon the night of the murder?
At 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard a terrible scream. But I thought nothing of it then. He would scream all the time when he was drunk.
Can you please tell me what occurred on the evening of the murder?
Well, Peter got drunk in the evening. He was in such a terrible temper. Usually whenever that happened, he'd stay all night drinking in his cabin before passing out.
Do you remember at what time you found your husband's body?
In the morning, at around 7 o'clock, I noticed the cabin door was open, but I didn't go in to take a look, for I knew my husband would not have liked it. At around 10 o'clock, I dared to glance in through the door and, oh dear.
Was your husband accustomed to receiving visitors?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really have many friends. He lived quite an isolated life here, after his retirement.
记 Holmes 我查拿不到 Venice House.
You have indeed suffered a great loss, Mrs. Carey. Nevertheless, I believe it will be less of a burden for you soon.
Yes. Life with Peter was never easy, but he was still my husband.
He was different, wasn't he, when you first met him upon your return from Plymouth?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. Oh my goodness, but how do you know about that?
You undertook a pilgrimage to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela when you were young. That much is evident from the rosary in your hand. The shortest route for the pilgrim from England to Spain is from Plymouth. I believe that you met Peter Carey as a young sailor there, and you married him soon afterwards.
That is indeed what happened, Mr. Holmes. How extraordinary.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. Nothing's here. Let's go check another place. This mod 就好像要开 Super Slayer 这样子。
Mr. Holmes?
Mr. Holmes 啊。哦。
Peter Carey's body is inside the cabin. We took care not to touch anything. Mr. Holmes?
The door is locked.
Wait just a moment, Mr. Holmes, and I'll open it. I locked it yesterday to ensure that no one should enter the cabin and tamper with the evidence.
Ah, good thinking.
Hello, hello, hello.
What is it, Lestrade?
It seems to me that someone has tried to force it, Mr. Holmes.
Let me see. These scratches are fresh. You're right. Someone tried to force open the door.
I swear these scratches were not here yesterday.
Our mysterious visitor came here last night.
Well, he's not the man for the job. This lock is not a difficult one.
Perhaps he did not have the right tool.
这是案发地点。
What a terrible way to die. This place is not covered with dust, like the rest of the shelf. An object was taken from here. It was larger than a book, a box or a small chest, perhaps. The tooth of a sperm whale, probably from one of Peter Carey's catches. The ship's logs of the Sea Unicorn for the years 1878 to 1884. Peter Carey was her captain. Harpoons for hunting whales. Peter Carey's boots. They look to be a size 8. Old navigation instruments, nothing interesting. The weapon fully penetrated the body. The force of the blow was immense. This man is in his 50s, yet he still looks quite strong.
这边本书。
The pattern of the blood stain indicates that the notebook was not lying on the floor prior to the crime, but it was dropped into the pool of blood after the death of Peter Carey.
可以打开看。
JHN are probably the initials of the owner of this notebook.
遗
These
传字。
abbreviations mean something, but what?
把刀。
This blood is from the pool underneath the dead body. This wooden handle is plain and solid. Peter Carey tried to defend himself with this knife, but he did not succeed.
这就是来自卫，就保护自己。那把刀。
Peter Carey was fully dressed. He was not caught by surprise. It is possible that he knew his murderer.
I don't have murder. 那我们看 B。
Someone was here yesterday. They attempted to force the door to gain entry. The Sea Unicorn. She was the ship that Peter Carey commanded. The initials PC have been crudely
啥
burned.
名字这样？
A sailor's work.
裁缝的。可以打开啊，看里面。哦，一个东西打包扣。
This aroma is familiar, but to recognize it, I must construct my associations in one picture.
有点像海盗感觉。哦，可以移动。这样吧。这样吧，对。
Yes, this is a coarse tobacco, quite strong and very popular among sailors.
一个船了。
Someone drank from
有
this
那个杯。
glass recently. Someone drank rum, a a sailor's drink. It seems that Captain Carey was enjoying a drink before he met his death. Dundee. Hammerfest. It's a whaling map. Peter Carey was impaled to the wall by a whaling harpoon. It seems that the garden was well maintained. It seems that the garden...
接到于什么来的？
Mr. Holmes?
Is this your husband's tobacco pouch?
I'm not sure. It might be, but he hadn't smoked in a very long time.
The garden is very large and well maintained. Do you employ someone to look after it?
It is true, there is a lot of work, but my husband took care of it himself.
Your husband's private papers. Do you know where they are?
There was a small tin box, barely larger than a book. He kept his papers there. It should be somewhere in his cabin.
Thank you, madam.
Well, Mr. Holmes, what do you think?
I think that we are lucky.
And why is that?
Because of last night's attempted break-in.
Oof, you've lost me.
It is very probable that whoever came here hoped to find the door open. They tried to force it with a knife blade, but they failed. What will they do? Why, return tonight, when they will be better prepared.
Aha! So what do you propose?
We shall remain on the outside, near the window, where we stand the best chance of catching sight of our visitor. Well, gentlemen, ready your pistols. We have a long night ahead of us. This looks like the perfect hiding place.
Shh! Did you hear that? There's someone there. I'm gonna collar him.
I'll be right behind you.
Police! Hold it right there!
到底发生了什么事呢？那我们接下去看吧。如果你们喜欢影片的话，也请记得按赞、订阅、分享。然后我们看第2集。